Well, hello, and welcome to another video where today we'll be talking about random miscellaneous feats from the Resident Evil series, which, yeah, I know a weird video, but hey, why not? And if you happen to enjoy the video, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like, as it does motivate me to make more videos like this, and yeah, I guess we could say just get on to the video now. Now, the first feat we're going to cover comes from Resident Evil Outbreak, one of the many spin-off games from the Resident Evil series, with the feat in question being a survivor being able to destroy a wooden crate, which, when calculated, was around wall level, apparently, which in a way does apply to just about any survivor, so I mean, hey, there is that for any survivor in Resident Evil. With the next feat we cover also coming from that same exact game, with the feat in question being a tyrant called Thanatos being able to bust through a wall, which when calculated was also found to be at the wall level ranges as well, which yeah, does kind of prove that Resident Evil is consistently in those wall ranges just at the lowest possible end. And then our next feat would be coming from Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8 for all those who really want to look into it, with the feat in question being from an enemy within the game called Urius Straher, who's actually a mini-boss later in the game, with the feat in question being him just swinging around his giant-ass mace, which yeah, is apparently pretty fucking high, with the calculation in question saying it's around apparently class K with the amount of force it was, which would apply to lifting strength, and apparently was around wall level, which yeah, pretty fucking insane for just swinging around a giant-ass mace. Also, as you've probably already seen, we're not just covering AP, we're also covering lifting strength and speed, so yeah, I just thought I should note that, but yeah, no, we're covering all that. Now, our next feat also comes from Resident Evil Village, but the biggest problem is it's kind of off screen, but it is implied to have happened, with the feat in question being a wall bust through a wooden wall, which was implied to have happened by a lichen, which the feat was also just calced to wall level, so there really wasn't much reason to mention this, but hey, why not? It's a miscellaneous feat, so why not mention it? Now, the next feat we'll be talking about happens to come from Resident Evil Code Veronica, and it happens to also be a speed feat, with the feat in question being Claire Redfield dodging a sniper rifle shot at a fairly close range, which when calculated was found to be around subsonic plus, which is pretty impressive for a character who never really appears in many mainline games outside of Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica, so yeah, that's pretty impressive for Claire Redfield. Yeah, I know this video is probably pretty boring, but I want to thank y'all for even watching anyways, but yeah, we're just going to continue the feats here. Now, the next feat in question happens to come from Resident Evil 4, with the feat in question being Jack Krauser lifting, I think is a pillar? I don't fucking know. But anyways, the amount of force he did produce with the feat was around class M levels of lifting strength, which yeah, another pretty cool lifting strength feat from the Resident Evil series. Yeah, I know this is probably a boring ass video, but hey, I just decided to make something good for Resident Evil, and yeah, I know I keep yapping about it, but hey, I gotta fill out the time somehow. There's not enough feats to fucking cover here that are miscellaneous, so I gotta fucking figure out how to cover the time somehow. Anyways, the next feat we'll be covering comes from the 2002 version of the original Resident Evil, which the feat in question shows Lisa Trevor breaking through 2 stone statues, which when calculated was found to be around the wall level ranges, which yeah, just goes to show much more fucking wall level stuff for Resident Evil, which should be pretty obvious at this point considering it's just a common thing, but hey, why not yap more about random feats, because hey, miscellaneous feats, am I right? Now, the next feat we'll be covering comes from Resident Evil 0, with the feat in question being the Queen Leech busting through a cave wall, which when calculated was found to be around the small building level ranges, which is pretty impressive for the first man behind the T-virus canonically. Now, this next section of the video isn't really going to be covering much feats, more so the GPE of some creatures from Resident Evil, with the first creature being covered being the Malkata whale from Resident Evil Revelations, with the calculation of its GPE getting around large building level in terms of AP and in terms of lifting strength around class M, which yeah, pretty impressive actually, especially considering this is just based off of its size. Now, the next creature we'll be covering comes from Resident Evil 4, and it's known as Del Lago, with the creature's GP being calculated to be around wall level plus with class K lifting strength, which is honestly just beyond me of how Leon even managed to deal with this thing while he was in a boat trying to take it down, like what the fuck. Anyways, our next feat comes from Resident Evil 0 again, with the feat in question being the Queen Leech destroying a platform lift, which when calculated was found to be around building level plus, which is far more impressive compared to his original feat of getting through a cave wall, which yeah, pretty damn crazy. Now, the next feat happens to come from the 2002 remake of the original Resident Evil game, with the feat in question being Jill Valentine pushing a statue, which when calculated was found to be around class 10 in lifting strength, which is quite an impressive feat, especially considering this is a Resident Evil 1 Jill who's a lot younger compared to her other variants. And speaking of Jill Valentine, the next feat happens to come from Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, with the feat in question being Jill Valentine dodging rockets from a helicopter piloted by Nikolai, which when calculated was found to be Mach 2.5 or supersonic plus. Yeah, I got nothing to say about this feat, so yeah, just move on to the next feat. Now, the next feat happens happens to come from the Resident Evil 2 remake from 2019, with the feat in question being a super tyrant busting through a wall, which when calculated was found to be around small building level. Funny how wall busting is suddenly small building level. First it was the Queen Leech and now fucking super tyrant? Like, god damn, that's just insane. Now the next feat we'll be covering does happen to come from the Resident Evil 3 remake, with the feat in question being Nemesis crushing the top of a van, which when calculated was found to be small building level for AP and Class M for lifting strength. Well, take a look at that. It seems Nemesis is joining the small building level club. Anyways, our next feat happens to come from Resident Evil 5 and is performed by two Executioner Maginis, with the feat in question being the pushing of a pillar, which when calculated was found that both Executioner Maginis have Class 10 lifting strength from this specific feat, which is pretty crazy considering two of them are performing the feat. Now the next feat happens to come from the original Resident Evil 2, with the feat in question being the T-00, aka Mr. X, throwing Ada Wong into a panel, which when calculated was found to be in the Class M of lifting strength, which I guess goes to show that Class M is pretty common, I guess, I don't know. Now the next feat we'll be talking about happens to come from Resident Evil 5. Now the feat in question involves a creature called the Andasu, with the creature lifting a large chunk of rock out of the ground, with the calculation getting the feat into the Class M of lifting strength, which yeah, is like what I said, that Class M is pretty common apparently. Now the second last feat we'll be talking about happens to come from the spin-off game Resident Evil Dead Aim, and the feat in question involves Bruce McGivern, our main character, tanking a giant-ass explosion, which when calculated was found to be fucking multi-city block. Holy shit! A random spin-off character being multi-city block is just absolute insanity. Like, when the actual fuck is Resident Evil on? Now the final feat I'll be talking about also happens to come from Resident Evil Dead Aim, with the feat in question being Morpheus Duvall, the main villain of Dead Aim, actually dodging shots from a particle accelerator rifle, which when calculated was found to be 54% the speed of light or relativistic plus, which I gotta know how in the actual hell a spin-off character is that fucking fast. Like, what in the actual fuck are these spin-off characters on? But yeah, that's just the video right there. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and yeah, if you happen to enjoy the content, please do subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you all later.